Hello, fellow duelists. It is I, Pharaoh Atem, and I've been very distant lately, so I'm sorry about that. I've been extremely busy. I have new openings for you, so before we begin, I would like for you to like, subscribe, and comment below of what kind of cards or packs I should do. Next, also subscribe to a very good duelist who is actually named Team Samurai X1. So now, without further ado, we shall get started. I have two new packs opening today. Phantom Rage, and I also have a Freezing Chain structure deck. So let's get started with the Phantom Rage. Alright, from the first card is Mutant Blast. This is an equip spell card. And according to this card, it says, equip only to a level 8 or higher mutant monster you control. At the start of the damage step, if the equipped monster attacks an opponent's special summon monster, you can banish that opponent's monster. While this card is equipped to a monster, you can banish this card, send the monster this card was equipped to the graveyard, and if you do, you can special summon one level 8 mutant monster with a different original attribute from your hand or deck. However, you can only use this effect once per turn. So that's not bad. Virtual World ZZGG. This monster has 1000 attack points, 1600 defense points. And his special ability is if this card is in your hand, you can target one Virtual World card you control. Send one Virtual World card of a different type, monster, spell, or trap, from your deck to the graveyard. If you do, special summon this card. Then, during the end phase of this turn, you can add one Virtual World monster from your graveyard to your hand, except this card. For the rest of this turn, you can only special summon level 3 or rank 3 or higher monsters. You can only use this effect once per turn. So, not of a bad card. The next card is called Infernity Conjurer. This monster has 1200 attack points and 900 defense points. It says, while you have no cards in your hand, monsters your opponent controls loses 800 attack. While you have no cards in your hand, and this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use this effect once per turn. That's actually not bad. Alright, the next one is a continuous trap card called Mutant Expansion. This continuous trap card, when you activate it, you can take one level 4 or lower mutant monster from your deck and either add it to your hand or special summon it. If a level 8 or higher mutant monster you control would be destroyed by a card effect, like a spell, trap, or monster effect, you can banish this card you control instead. You can only activate this card once per turn. Oh wait, I'm sorry, you can only activate one of these per turn. That's it. Oh, and we got a very good rarity card. Dual Avatar Invitation. And wow, guys, look at that rarity. If you guys know what kind of rarity this is, please comment below. It says, discard one card, and if you do, special summon as many Dual Avatar Spirit tokens as possible. Also, for the rest of this turn, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except fusion monsters. And all tokens you control cannot be tributed and are destroyed during the end phase. After summoning these tokens, you can apply this effect up to twice. Fusion summon one Dual Avatar Fusion monster from your extra deck, using monsters from your hand or field as fusion materials. You can only activate one Dual Avatar invitation per turn. And like I said before, this is a beautiful rarity card. Alright, moving on. We got a Link monster, Tri-Brigade Rugal the Silver Sheller. It's a Link 3 type monster. It requires 2 or more beast warriors, and or winged beast monsters to Link summon it. During your opponent's main phase, this is a quick effect. You can special summon one level 4 or lower beast, beast warrior, or winged beast monster from your hand or graveyard, but negate its special abilities. Also, return it to the hand during the end phase. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can make all monsters your opponent currently control lose 300 attack for each monster type you control until the end of this turn. You can only use this effect once per turn. Next is a monster, it's a level 6 monster, a Virtual World Kirin Lili. A monster with 1800 attack points, 600 defense points. Alright, and this says, if this card is in your hand, you can target one Virtual World card you control, send one Virtual World card with a different type from your deck to the graveyard. And if you do, special summon this card. Oh, so this card is a higher level, however, it's pretty much the same as this one. These two cards pretty much have the same effect. So, okay, I get it. So there's no need to actually keep on continuing. Alright, I got a couple more cards here. We have a continuous trap card called Mutant Clash. This trap card says, when you activate this card, you can target one effect monster your opponent controls. Banish one mutant monster from your graveyard, and if you do, negate its effects until the end of this turn, even if this card leaves the field. When your level 8 or higher mutant monster destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can draw one card. You can only use this effect of Mutant Clash once per turn. You can only activate one Mutant Clash per turn. Now you have this is the last card of the pack. It's a trap card called 1 or 8. This trap card says, if your life points are lower than your opponent's, reveal the top card of your deck. And if it is a level 1 or 8, add it to your hand. Or special summon it. Otherwise, your opponent can apply one of these effects. The player who activated this card has the life points become 1,000, or the opponent of the player who activated this card gains life points, so it becomes 8,000. You can only activate this card 1 to 8 per turn. Alright, so not a bad list of cards, especially for the Phantom Rage pack, since I only have one. Alright, now let us continue on with the big event, the Structure Deck Freezing Chains. And I gotta say, it sounds to me like this Structure Deck is going to have very powerful cards. Well, we shall see about that. Alright, what else is in here? Oh, and I got myself a dueling mat. Let's see what this looks like first. Wow, would you look at this? Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. Wow, I'm impressed with this already. Alright, and here's the deck. There we go. Alright. Alright, there's also this from the back of the deck. I'm not going to get into this because I don't care. So, let us get to the structure deck, shall we? Okay, the first card is Revealer of the Ice Barrier. Ooh, and that's a good rarity right there too. Look at that. While you control another Ice Barrier monster, your opponent cannot tribute summon. You can only use each of the following effects of Reveal of the Ice Barrier once per turn. You can discard one card, special summon one Ice Barrier tuner from your deck. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn, except water monsters. If you would discard or send a card from your hand to the graveyard to activate an Ice Barrier monster effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead of one of those cards. So, not bad. It's pretty good. Alright, next one is Speaker for the Ice Barriers. Okay, and this card says, while you control another Ice Barrier monster defense position monsters, your opponent controls cannot change their battle modes. You can only use each of the following effects of Speaker of the Ice Barriers once per turn. If you control an Ice Barrier monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. If you control an Ice Barrier monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon Ice Barrier token. This monster has 1000 attack and 1800 defense. Next up is Zuijin of the Ice Barrier. You contribute this card to special summon one level 5 or higher Ice Barrier monster from your hand. If this card is in your graveyard except the turn it was sent there, you can target one level 3 or higher water monster you control, reduce its level by exactly 2. And if you do, special summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use the effect of Zuijin the Ice Barrier once per turn. Not bad. Woo! Wins over the Ice Barrier spell card, and look at this rarity. I have never seen this card before, or basically any of the cards that I just revealed to you so far. This card is a normal spell. Should be any number of Ice Barrier monsters, special summon from your deck and that many level 4 or lower Ice Barrier monsters with different names from each other during your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one of your Ice Barrier monsters that is banished or in your graveyard, add it to your hand. You can only use each effect of Wind for the Ice Barrier once per turn. Oh, and I wasn't expecting this. I got Synchro Monsters. Yay! I got 5. And these things look amazing. Alright, we'll introduce the Synchro Monsters after we do the main deck. This is the extra deck, pretty much, basically. Alright. The next monster is General Wayne of the Ice Barrier. General Wayne of the Ice Barrier. It says, spells and traps sent from the field to your opponent's graveyard are banished instead. You can only use each of the following effects of General Wayne of the Ice Barrier once per turn. If your opponent controls a monster and you control an Ice Barrier monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normally special summon, you can add one Ice Barrier spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. I gotta say, for a level 5 monster, that's actually not a bad effect. Not bad at all. I bet if I made a really good Ice Barrier deck, this would be really good to use. Next up is Hexa Spirit of the Ice Barrier. It's a level 1 Sea Serpent Tuner monster. It says, while you control another Ice Barrier monster, monsters your opponent controls lose 500 attack and defense. During your main phase, you can send one level 3 or lower Ice Barrier monster from your deck to the graveyard. And if you do, this card becomes the same level as that monster until the end of this turn. You can only use this effect of Hex the Spirit of the Ice Barrier once per turn. Next up is Blizz, Defender of the Ice Barrier. This is actually not a bad card either. It says if this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, draw one card. Simple as that. Alright, next is Cryomancer of the Ice Barrier. I promise, one of these days I'm going to have to get used to these different names of cards I've never even heard of. This one's an Aqua Tuner monster. And it says, while you control another Ice Barrier monster, level 4 or higher monsters cannot declare an attack. And here's what it looks like. This next one is Prior of the Ice Barrier. This one is a level 2 monster, and his special ability is quite interesting. First, here's what he looks like. Okay, and it says, if you control an Ice Barrier monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You cannot special summon any level 5 or higher monsters the turn you summon this way. You can tribute this card, then target one Ice Barrier monster in your graveyard, except Prior of the Ice Barrier, special summon that target. Not bad. Still, as some cards always do, they always have some kind of catch. Next is Defender of the Ice Barrier. And this one's also a tuner, a level 3 tuner. While you control another Ice Barrier monster, monsters your opponent controls cannot declare an attack if their attack is greater than or equal to this card's defense. So, here's what it's saying. Monsters your opponent controls cannot declare an attack if their attack is greater or equal to this card's defense. So if it's greater than 1600 or equal to 1600, then they cannot attack. But if it's like 1500 or less, yes, then it'll work. Okay, Warlock of the Ice Barrier. This one's a spellcaster. And it says, while you control another Ice Barrier monster, both players must set spell cards before activating them, and cannot activate them until their next turn. Ooh, that would actually be a complete shutdown for spell cards. It's pretty much kind of like the Secret Village of the Spellcasters kind of card. Because you can't activate a spell card without a spellcaster. That's what it pretty much kind of sounds like to me. So, okay. Next, Spellbreaker of the Ice Barrier. This one has 1200 attack points, 2000 defense points, and a level 4. It says, once per turn you can send one Ice Barrier monster from your hand to the graveyard. Neither player can activate spell cards until the end of your next turn, while this monster is face up on the field. Not bad for a Spellbreaker. Strategist of the Icebreaker. A monster with 1600 attack, 1600 defense. And its effect says, once per turn you can send one Ice Barrier monster from your hand to the graveyard, then draw one card. Okay, so it's pretty much you send an Ice Barrier monster you control to the graveyard to just draw. To be honest, it sounds as completely stupid as you have a whole bunch of Ice Barriers on your field, and then you have 4 Ice Barriers on your field, then you summon him, and then you just destroy up to 4 your monsters to draw 4 cards. What good is that going to do? All that does is just leave you almost completely vulnerable to a direct attack. Anyways, Dance Princess of the Ice Barrier. This card has 1700 attack points and 900 defense. Once per turn, if you control another ice barrier monster, you can reveal any number of ice barrier monsters in your hand. Then target an equal number of set spell and trap cards your opponent controls. Return those targets to their hand. Now that's a pretty good card. For as number of ice barrier monsters you have in your hand and this card's on your field, you can send as number of spells and traps your opponent has on the field and send them back to their hand. That's not bad. Daisojo of the Ice Barrier. This one is a level 6 monster. Oh, whoops, almost dropped it. It says, if this card is normal or flip summon, change it to defense mode. Ice barrier monsters you control cannot be destroyed by spells or trap cards. Ooh, so that's not bad. So it protects your ice barrier monsters from spell and trap cards. General Raiho of the Ice Barrier. When your opponent's monster effect activated on the field they must discard one card or the effect is negated. It's their choice. So not a bad monster. Medium of the Ice Barrier. It's a level 7 monster. Has 2200 attack, 1600 defense. If your opponent controls 4 or more cards than you do, you can special summon this card from your hand. Your opponent can only activate one spell or trap card each turn. So that pretty much limits your opponent's option with their spell and trap cards. General Gentala of the Ice Barrier. A monster with 2700 attack and 2000 defense. Once per turn during your end phase, you can target one Ice Barrier monster in your graveyard, except General Ganatala of the Ice Barrier, and special summon it. So that's not bad either. General Grenard of the Ice Barrier. And it's a warrior type with 2800 attack, 1000 defense. During your main phase, you can normal summon one Ice Barrier monster in addition to your normal or set. You can only gain this effect once per turn. Next is a normal monster. It's also a tuner, Genex Controller. Next is another Genex monster. However, it's not a tuner. It's an effect monster known as Genex Undyne. It says, when this card is normal summoned, you can send one water monster from your deck to the graveyard. Add one Genex controller from your deck